The UFC may get lucky that the PFL really just fumbled the bag so bad that they're going to end up with Strikeforce level fighters without having to pay for them. What was the term he used for them? He said a big time promotion, or he said a whatever it was. I don't look at them as that anymore. I don't know what it is, but something of, and I'm not going to say too much because there's, obviously, I just don't think that they are a promotion to be taken serious right now. They just released Lorenz Larkin. They just released Yaroslav Amosov. I've already been told that certain fighters that have one or
question.
two.
Do you know that? I'm not saying anything about the release. Do you know, did Lorenz and Yaroslav asked for that release?
No,
they just released them.
Just released. Yep. I do know that there's a fighter that just fought recently. He's got one more fight left on his contract. They have said that they will try to fight him before March, and he's basically looking to try to get out, but he's coming off of a loss in a big high profile fight. So he wants to get one more fight in so he can try to get off on a win, which he probably will. He's one of the best fighters in Bellator right now. So look, there's a lot of fighters like Sergio Pettis could probably go. I would like to see these guys make a splash somewhere else. I mean, look, yeah, I think Amosov, I think Lorenz Larkin, I think if Jason Jackson, I don't know how many more fights he's got left on, but he just lost his title over there. I can't imagine. I don't know how. I believe he's on a new contract, so he may be there for a while. But if you're going to release guys, I mean, look, guys that I like to see fight in the UFC that I think will make a big splash in the organization over there will be guys like Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix just put out a thing basically saying, like, I haven't heard from them. They haven't talked to me. I'm wasting my prime right now. I'm the best bantamweight in the world, which I pretty much kind of believe he is. I don't get me wrong. I think Merab does not.
When you're sitting,
Merab doesn't pose a threat to him at all. Sean O'Malley poses more of a threat to him. They used to train
together.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah. But John, to me, Merab does not pose a threat to Patchy Mix at all. If anything, he just feeds right into what Patchy does best. Yes. Now, Sean O'Malley poses a little bit more of a threat to him because of the speed, the reach, the range. Styles make matchups. Yeah. Peter Yan, I think, poses a little bit of threat to him as well.
No, look, I think Umar Nurmagomedov and Patchy Mix both know because they train together at times. And they both will say, that's the toughest guy that I face.
Yeah, they both.
So, yeah.
They both have.
So they both have. And so you take a look, and that says a lot about, where they're at with that. Josh, you had a manager. It's your manager's responsibility to be on the phone and calling whoever you are signed with about getting you the fights that you need to, continue on with your career. It shouldn't be the fighter doing it unless you don't have the manager. But if you have a manager, they're supposed to be that talking piece for you. They're supposed to be creating that. Are they not?
No, you're 100% right. But guess what? When the clown show's at the top is not giving you any answers, there's no there's no one to talk to.
There's no feedback to come back with.
Let's be 100% honest. Don Davis and Peter Murray, they have no clue how to run a promotion. They know how to raise money. They're probably the best I've ever seen raise money. But they do not understand what it's like to run a promotion. They do have no clue what it's like to handle fighters and get them fights and make sure that they are all Don Davis came out personally and said, look, I don't have time to watch fights. Then what are you doing as a promoter? Bring somebody in that can manage it. Do what?
It's his show.
I understand it's his show, but he needs to. You need to watch the fights. If it's your show, you should be watching what fighters you're promoting. That's my 2 cents. And whether you agree with it or not, or anybody else out there agrees with it or not, like as a promoter, it's his job to know which fighters he's promoting, which fighters he wants to potentially put more money into, and which fighters to dial back the money in. And whatever.
That's part of the problem is you're taking a look at everything gets into this, and I'm taking nothing away from Francis. Francis is a great guy and a great fighter. But you're putting a lot of money into Francis, but they don't have anybody to fight Francis.
No.
Then that's, you take a look and you go, and Francis is a lot of money. it's not economical to use Francis more than once a year if you're going to use him. So they have such good talent. I find it troubling that they're not communicating with their fighters if that's what's going on, like what Duke is saying, because they need to communicate. They need to make them happy, because the only thing I can sit there and say is, Josh, if something is said in the gym from one fighter to another fighter about an organization or a manager or a person in the fight game, that is just spread everywhere. It just grows.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's hard to get past as soon as someone says, no, don't do it. It's like what, when RDR came out and said after his, debut fight against Mershart, and he wins, and he goes in the back to talk to the media. And what does he say? Don't sign with one.
Yeah.
Don't sign.
Yeah. I've noticed that one has put some words out there for DJ. It was like, DJ's come out and been like, hey, like one was the best deal for me, and I agree. He probably was.
That's okay.
He made the most money out there because of one. He's like, look, I look at my numbers after doing the class action lawsuit. He's like, man, all that, I had all these fights. He's like, and then this is what I'm getting paid. He's like, it's nothing. And I'm like, wow, all those fights, title fights. And he's like doing his 23% of whatever it was. He's like, I'm not getting paid much. I'm like, yeah, it's horrible, right? When he was getting paid from the UFC, then he goes to one, and Eddie Alvarez came out and said, and Eddie's told me personally himself, but
I know,
he made it very clear. He's like, I wouldn't fight for less than 7 figures. He's not fighting now for less than 7 figures. So he's in bare knuckle fighting for 7 figure. He was in.
Eddie's paid his dues.
He is.
I'm okay with that.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I'm not knocking that at all. No. And like Eddie said, is if I'm not making 7 figures, I just won't fight. That's another thing. Like, you just got to know your worth. What it comes down to is like, hey, I know what I'm going to bring. I know I'm going to bring action-packed fights. I'm either going to go out on a stretcher or I'm going to put somebody else on a stretcher. Those are the kind of fighters you want. And I look at PFL. They have the talent. They're just choosing, I think, right now to go the cheap route. And when you go the cheap route, you're not going to get the same talent. So those fighters want to know what's going on. And so you're going to get, I think what's going to happen is in the next probably 3 months, especially over the holidays when fighters need the money because of holiday gifts, Christmas presents, things like spending time with family is most important. Traveling to go see family, spending money on gifts for their kids and their family. Look, it's one thing to say you're a professional fighter and, oh, I'm on TV. But if the money doesn't translate, you feel like a piece of shit. You're like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time dedicating so much to this company and I can't even buy Christmas gifts for my family? Like, what am I doing? And they're going to automatically, I can tell you by January, February, there's going to be a lot more fighters going, hey, if I don't hear from Don Davis, if I don't hear from Peter Murray, if I don't hear from whoever's running that show over there, then I want out. And the more fighters that clamor about getting out, John, it's become a problem.
Yeah, I think what I've really seen as far as, there are fighters out there like Brendan Loughnane who had signed with the PFL. And, when you listen to Brendan talk, you have talked with him, alongside with me and stuff. He loves the PFL. He says, they changed my life. I now, take care of my family and this and that. And it all works for him. It's what's happened with that whole Bellator takeover. It was too much. It was too much right now. And I think people are getting lost. And Sergio Pettis being one, he's getting lost. And Sergio is definitely in the prime of his career. He should be fighting, and you can't. And the part of the problem is it's a 135-pound weight class. The PFL doesn't have a 135-pound weight class. Patchy Mix is a 135-pound weight class. They don't have it.
Johnny
Eblin. You just look and you go, Johnny Eblin at 185. You just look and you go, this is the kind of thing you got to fix. Somehow either open up that weight class or let those guys go. Fighters only have so long. And I sit here and I don't want to say I criticize, but I talk about guys letting their careers pass them by while they're not fighting. And it's like, when it's their fault, it's their fault. But when it's they can't get a fight, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like you've got plenty of guys in that 135-pound division that could jump to the UFC right now.
Oh, yeah.
Magomedov, you've got Rafian Stotts, you got Danny Sabatello, and you got Patchy Mix. Those 4 guys right there all need to leave. I mean, they don't have a weight class for you. And everything I've heard from Bellator is that Bellator's pretty much going away after their February show. After the next Bellator with
No, there's
Paul
two
Hughes. What's that?
more. Yeah, two more. You got
two more.
Usman against Paul Hughes in
Okay.
January, right?
I thought that
And
was
then-
early. Is that end of January now?
That's end of January.
Okay.
And then, do you have one in February? I don't know.
I thought there was supposed to be one in February, but okay. But I think those are the last ones. We're gonna find out. But look, there's guys that could be there. Johnny Eblin needs to bounce. I think Fabian Edwards could also bounce. I mean, they need some that 185-pound division in the UFC needs a shot to the arm, anyways. Sure, Johnny Eblin would be great for that division. You got a lot of fighters that are there right now that are getting a little bit older, long in the tooth. They're not great fighters. There needs to be some new blood in that mix. And let's just be honest, the 135-pound division right now, to me and you as well, for the last 2 years, has been the best weight class in the sport of MMA. You add someone like Patchy Mix, you add someone like a Danny Sabatelli, you add a Rafian Stotts, you add a Magomedov, who's one of the only guys to beat Peter Yan. Like, that makes for very fun fights. Those 4 more fighters that jump in the 135-pound division of an already stacked division of Henry Cejudo, Song Yadong, Rob Font, Batista. I mean, you go down to Jose Aldo, Kyler Phillips. I mean, Zahabi, McGee. I mean, there's plenty of fighters in this mix right here that we can mix them up in there. And I put Patchy right up there at the top. If I was to say, hey, guys that I could feel comfortable matching Patchy Mix up with right off the bat would be Merab. Right, and then stylistically they match up great. Guys like Sean O'Malley is going to give him a hard time. Umar Nurmagomedov is going to give him a hard time. Peter Yan, not as much, because Peter tends to let the round slip away if he gets taken down. He'll just kind of hang out, in that position. He was starting to do it in the first round of this fight against Figgy, and then he realized, I got to escape. I got to go ahead and pick up the tempo. Corey Sandhagen is a bad matchup for Corey Sandhagen against Patchy Mix. I think he's a bad matchup. I think Magomedov is a bad matchup for almost all of them. He's very threatening. The only guys that really would probably, outside of Patchy Mix, give Magomedov a hard time would be someone like an Umar. The rest of them, he's a nasty matchup for all of them because he can wrestle, funky style stand up, and he's got good submissions as well. He's a very well-rounded fighter all the way around. Great fighters to add in there. Johnny Eblin in that 185-pound division, John. If I'm looking at that right now, you got Johnny Eblin, Robert Whitaker. I'd like to see Johnny Eblin and Imavov. That'd be a great fight. Good on the feet, good wrestling takedown defense. Why not see a Johnny Eblin in I know that Strickland and him are friends. They've trained together.
That's not going to happen.
That probably won't happen. But why not Israel Adesanya and a Johnny Eblin? That'd be a fun fight. Wrestler slash semi, striker.
How about Hamzat?
Yeah. Let's see the wrestling. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of the wrestling. Let's go from there. I'm down with that. You've got those fights that are in there, man. So you put a Fabian Edwards mixed in there as well. Let's go ahead and jump right into the 170-pound division. You've got Yaroslav Amosov. You've got, I'm assuming, Logan Sterling may end up being a free agent soon too if they released Amosov. And you got Jason Jackson, and you also got Lorenz Larkin at 170. You got fighters that are in there. Sean Brady would be a fun fight with Amosov. I'd love to see that fight. That'd be a fantastic fight. Good on the feet, good wrestling, good grappling. Both of them can grapple. Both of them can wrestle. Great fight in there. So, I'd like to see Colby Covington and Logan Sterling. Let me see that fight. Let's see it.
You're just going.
I'm loving
this. Boom.
I want to play matchmaker for one day. If these guys are going to leave and they're being released from the Bellator / PFL brand, there's fights to be had, man. I almost feel like the UFC may get lucky that the PFL really just fumbled the bag so bad that they're going to end up with Strikeforce level fighters without having to pay for them. That's where I'm at. That's kind of where I feel like they have fumbled this thing so much. I mean, this is fucking Ernie Barner's. What's his name? Byners from the Cleveland Browns of night. What year was that when he fumbled on the
Ernest Byner, man? Come on, Ernest Byner.
Yeah,
Ernest
It's been a long
Byner.
time, man. I've been here a lot since then. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, you fumbled the bag with these world-class fighters on there, and the UFC is going to skate away with fighters that they didn't even have to pay for. The confidence of Dana White when he was speaking about they don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, they're kind of proving it right now. So I hope that they get it together because we need more promotions. We need more promotions to help build up the level of world-class fighters that are out there. We need them. We need as many as we could possibly get. So I hope they get it together, but who knows? We'll see. Who knows?
It's a rough
John?
one.
It is a rough one, John. It really is. This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.